Buongiorno, hello and welcome. Will be the big final of the Race Like a Pro series. In the last days there was some action in the GC, and in my last video from stage 4, where I was able to take the win, I said that I've managed to keep away one of my contenders from Spain, Susan Corda. But 1 or 2 hours later, after this race, he raced again, and also the guy who was on position 3 in the GC, Tim Mittinen from Sweden, and they managed to ride a faster time, so both of them have overtaken me in the GC. So Tim is now leading, then Sausan, and then it's me. 27 seconds is the gap to Tim, and to Sausan 17 seconds. So I was under big pressure to improve my time. So I tried to get some support from my team, Wattfabrik, but you will see there will be only 2 riders, Mark and Rainer Beckers and Mark Bosch. It's quite difficult to see them in this race because everybody's wearing this Movistar kit. But anyway, we said, or I said to myself, all out, active racing, go to the front, make the pace, don't hide yourself. And we hoped to race in a big field. So we chose 7 in the evening, the start time. And it was the biggest field of the day, but you can see it. The front group were only 60 people in the beginning, and this will become much smaller after the first KOM. We also said that we want to ride the first KOM quite steady and not too fast, because we thought it would be a bigger advantage to have a bigger group than gain 5 or 10 seconds at the KOM, but be only in a small group, because there's such a long flat section, and also the Titans groove, it's a rolling terrain, so a big group is a big advantage to gain some seconds. That's why you will see the time will be not so fast up this KOM. I'm not sure what was the time. We will see in a few seconds. And yes, so like I said before, I didn't want it to hide. I want to put in everything that's left in my legs. I also said, or I gave up the Rafa 500 challenge this year. Last year I made it in one ride, and the year before I made the challenge. And I asked myself what would be more important for me. While we see it was about 2 minutes, so not very slow, but quite slow. But the field broke in 2 parts, even if the pace was quite slow up this hill. You see, for example, I ride it in a race in 1:39, for example, so normally between 1:40 and 1:50 is a normal time in the B race. But anyway, so we had to wait a little bit that the other group, on the minimap you see it, close the gap. Anyway, where I stopped, Rafa 500, so I said, okay, the GC would be more important for me, would be better than a virtual badge in Strava for Feste 500. And like I said, I've done it before. I've done it in one ride, so I know if I wanted to do it, that wouldn't be a problem. But I didn't see the advantage for me, for my body, for my training, for my progression. If I overtrained my body. This wouldn't make sense because in 1 week the last Swift Racing League season starts. So yeah, I said let's focus on the GC. And now you see that I don't use my anvil, because that's something I learned from my first 2 races on this stage. You need this in the Titan's Groove descent, because there were always big gaps in the downhill if you don't have an anvil. That's why I kept it. I also said this before to my teammates, so they also kept it if they would get it. And yeah, in this downhill is too short. If somebody uses an anvil here, there will also open a gap. A gap will also open, but the descent is too short, so the gaps are closed quite fast normally. And yes, what else to say? Only 32 people in the front group. Rainer and Mark are still with me in the group. Sorry. And yes, now you see some people using the anvil and how quick a gap is opening, but you will also see how fast it will be closed. And now you see I'm texting in the chat a little bit, work together now in the flat, because the time counts. But yeah, of course nobody was interested in doing any work. So all of the names you see here in the race, they are almost, not everybody, a lot of them are just sucking the wheels. Yeah, so shame on you. There are some riders who were willing to do some work. You will see them. For example, the one guy from Sweden with this orange thing behind his name, which normally indicates that he is something like a pro. And for example, also the GC leader was in the race, Tim Mietinen. And of course, he also, it's fine that he wasn't working. That's 100% what he had to do. Just sit in the pack and made the race slow, as good as possible. That's completely reasonable. Smart racing. And yeah, now you see my teammate Rainer is going to the front doing some works, because we wanted to keep the pace high. And you will see I will make a cut in some seconds and let the video run faster. You will see a lot of red zone efforts from me, from teammates, from me, from myself. Okay. Oh, wait a second, I think. Oh, no, okay, not. The one Swedish guy, the one with the orange pro thing by his name, there's one section where he's going to do some work. So kudos to him for doing something. And yeah, there you saw that I was quite angry, and I was texting why the people let the gap open if other riders are working for them, for the whole group, to make a good time. Yeah, not understandable. Okay, so let's increase the video speed and watch the race a little bit more. Of course, I'm not able to be at the front all the time in the red zone, so there are always sections where I'm going in the field. Now you see the Swedish guy who is working with a red bike. This is my teammate Mark, and this here is a Swedish guy. I forgot his name. We will see it maybe later. Yeah, there you see it, and also the orange thing behind his name. And he was riding, I don't know, with over 5 watts per kilogram and making the pace. But you see in the minimap once again that the field is not following the work at the front. I can't understand, because, okay, like I said, Tim, of course, he's GC contender, he's in a better position. He can sit in the back and do nothing. this is the smartest thing he can do. But all of the other people, there's no one, I think, from the who is very good positioned in the GC. So everybody should have the interest in riding a good time. And so it's quite hard to understand why nobody was willed to work. Anyway, and you see I'm always texting, come on guys, push, do some work. Don't be an asshole and just let the same 2 or 3 people do all the work. Okay, but of course they can also say, you are the team who wants a better time, you want to compete for the first place, so come on, the stage is yours. I know that there are so many interests in the field, so yeah, no problem. This is racing, this is like outdoor racing. So yes, now we are heading in the jungle. There's happening not that much here. Now I'm trying to relax a little bit because I know there's coming this uphill section, and in the downhill it's not easy and wastes a lot of energy to try to gain some time in this downhill sections. So yeah, I focused on the uphill to push a little bit. Here you see, for example, I want to keep the speed in the flat section, go to the front for some seconds, and then I think 1 or 2 riders were pacing. Once again, the Swedish guy and the Russian guy, Pavlov, was at the front a little bit. But every time when somebody was in the front, they stopped pedaling. Then we had this attack from Alex. I don't know why. I'm not sure if this is maybe a teammate from Tim. This would be a smart move with the attack. And so we had to follow him with a high effort and waste even more energy. That would make sense. That would be also very smart. But I'm not sure if this is a teammate. Like I said, it's very hard to see the other people when everybody's wearing this Movistar kit. Time was 4 minutes and 70 seconds, so not very fast. But now you can see the effect from the anvils and the gaps which are opening. First I thought let's go to the Supertag, but then I made a short sprint to get safely in the draft of the other anvils. And now look at the mini map, how fast this gap is opening and how big it will become. And how much the other people have to work. Okay, I made the speed faster now once again. And you will see they will come back, of course, the group behind. But they have to invest a lot of energy. You see, I'm in the dark red zone. And that means if they still manage to close the gap, they have to ride even more in the dark red zone. And yes, anyway, 11 kilometers to go. I have some split times I wrote down. So I knew the time was okay, maybe a little bit faster than in my best race, but not very much. So I hope that the pace will be very high. Now you see once again my teammate at the front, Mark, is working. I am working. And yeah, but the race will be not ending how I expected. You will see in a few seconds, in a few minutes. Now you see myself at the front. There are my 2 teammates, Mark and Rainer. We were connected via Discord, and Mark said, okay, come, sit down in the draft, get a little bit of rest. Once again, Rainer at the front, Mark at the front, completely at their limits. And now you will see a very weird move from the Swedish guy, from the professional guy. That's why the video becomes slower. And now I'm closing the gap, and I hoped or thought that they would follow me, because that was not an attack. You see, I'm just increasing constantly my pace to get in his draft, and that's it. And I thought that it would be normal that the other guys are also following us, because the pace wasn't that high. You see, 44 kilometers per hour in the flat, but boom, a gap is opened. And if now in the next 100, 200 meters nobody closes the gap, then we are only 2 riders, which is shit. So once again, it's a very weird situation. But you have to understand me, this Swedish guy, he was riding constantly with about 5 watts per kilogram. So I thought, okay, maybe this is a good wheel. Maybe he is, when I'm in his draft, we are faster than in the big field, and you see that the gap becomes bigger and bigger. So I said, okay, I'm also going to do a little bit of work. But okay, he's a pro. He has this orange thing behind his name. So I thought I can just work with him until the climb starts, and then he will, boom, go all out on the climb with 5-6 watt per kilogram. This is a pro cyclist. He will smash this Volcano KOM, and I can just use him as my locomotive. That was what I was thinking, and at this point I was quite optimistic that this would work. And so I'm also going to the front. I increase my speed now to 5.5 watts per kilogram, because the climb starts, and I don't want it to be a dick and just sit in his wheel, so I also wanted to go to the front. And just look at his green point at the mini map, and that's it. You will never see him in front of me. You will never see him near the front. That's it. He attacked, and I don't know if I don't even know why he has this pro thing behind his name. So it's solo at Volcano, and this is very, 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 very bad, because the Volcano KOM is so draftable. The draft effect is so high. I will tell you at the end some numbers. But so now I will make the video faster for the last 3 kilometers. So it was a solo attack, or a solo ride, and I tried to ride very constant. You see it at the bottom. Very high pace, over all the time, over 5 watts per kilogram. More 5.5 than 5.0 watts per kilogram. Now I'm here in this flat section, which is so draftable. It's so important to be in a big bunch. And even on the flat, I was riding near my throttled power. I opened my jersey. I motivated myself. Come on, this is for the GC. In a normal race, I think I wouldn't have the power to hold this pace. And then you see from behind, they are chasing. They will manage to close the gap. 2 or 3 riders, or even more, I'm not sure. I think it's 4 riders who are coming from behind. No, 3, okay. And yes, only 600 meters to go, 500 meters to go. So let's go to the normal pace, and now I can already tell you this will be my best effort at the Volcano KOM segment. When you look at the pure watts. 360 watts for the climb. But my time will be, for example, 7 or 8 seconds slower than 2 days ago. And in this attempt, I was riding 40 watts less, or over 40 watts less. So you see how big this draft effect is. And yeah, now final meters, I give everything complete, as really I was at my completely limits. Takes second place behind my teammate Rainer, so double win for Team Wattfabrik. But it wasn't enough. The time was slower some seconds and in my best effort so far. But yeah, incredible numbers. If you compare the Swift Power numbers, I had the best watt per kilogram at 20 minute, 5 minute, 1 minute, 30 second and 50 seconds. In general, very, very strong effort. Overall average over 43 minutes from 4.1 watt per kilogram. You see the other guys have 3.5, 3.6, 3.4. So I gave definitely everything. I'm not ashamed of my effort. I'm really happy with my effort. I gave everything. I tried my best. Congrats to Tim. We were writing on Companion after the race, and yeah, you can't win every race. So always keep your heads up. Look at your own efforts, and yeah, it's not always the results that counts or that makes you happy. Of course, I would be way more happy if I would have improved my time, but this is fine. This is a double win for our team. This was very strong effort from myself. Got a third gold breakthrough, so improved my FTP and so on. So yeah, I wish you a good start in the new year, and we will see each other 2023. Right on, and cheers.